my name is Tyler from the STL art scene, and I am proud to present the What is Art podcast. Webster University students have taken the time to sit down with St. Louis-based artists to answer the question, how do we define art? Getting started, I had the chance to speak with Mallory Sifford, an artist who currently attends Maryville University. I asked Mallory to define art and what it means to her.
Yeah, so that's actually a really fun question for me because art, just like we talked about in previous classes, is different for everybody. And, sometimes people will look at art and they'll say, art has to be something special. You have to have a talent. You have to have years of studying and years of practice under your belt. But I don't think that's true. I think anyone that wants to create art can create art, whether it's visual art or music or videography. That's visual, but like between painting or drawing, there are a lot of different things you could do. And then what someone may find, meaningful is going to be different for someone else too. Like, for instance, art that I make for myself, I may have done so many hours of studying behind, like it could have had a certain meaning to me, but when someone else looks at it, they're just like, this is just something, it doesn't have any meaning to them. So that's another amazing thing about it too. Um, and I think that there's a lot of different artists that try to take on that role. And then it's even fun when we look back at famous artists and we're like, oh, this is what their meaning is. And, they might come out of their grave and they're like, no, that's just something that was fun for me. So it doesn't even have to be something that you're trying to make for others. Like, it could be for you.
I think Mallory did an excellent job of speaking to the subjectivity of art and the different ways we can interpret someone's work. I also had the opportunity to speak with Eric Miranda, an animation student and content creator. Eric explains the significance of having an audience as a creator.
For me personally, what art is just putting a little bit of yourself out into the world, I think, because it's just art can be really anything, and it's just like, sure, it can be deep and pretentious, and like we could be in a museum and we can like talk about it for decades or whatever, but it's just like art is just like something that you make, something that you do, that you really enjoy, that you really care about, that you put time into even. It's just like, and putting out there for the world to see, or even just a couple friends. It's just like, that's what it really is about. Like, just enjoying that process of just making something and just sharing it, really, because if you don't share it, then it's not art, I'd say. It can be practice, it can be something else, but it's not necessarily art until you can share it with someone and show someone else what you did and what you made. Yes.
And that speaks to kind of like the vulnerability of an artist.
Yeah.
Like making something and knowing like the purpose of your medium is that it's going to be judged.
Oh yeah. There's always gonna be people who just like look at it. They don't even need to necessarily say anything rude about your work. It's just like the lack of acknowledgement, or just like the lack of just like anyone even caring to witness you and what you've done. It's just like, it sucks when you're not seen, and especially when you put a lot of work into like a piece or like a drawing that you did and no one really cares about it. It sucks, but it's just like putting it out there is just like such a big thing to like do, because like someone eventually is gonna find something that you do and just really enjoy it. Like, it'll either be like some piece that you made like a meme out of, like Carl Weiser being a JoJo stand, or it'll be something else. And it's just like having that out there is just really important, because if at least one other person sees it and enjoys it, then it's already worth it.
In taking a look at our next artist, Jordan Grimes had the chance to talk with Aspen Singleton. Aspen is a special effects makeup artist, and she speaks to the uniqueness of her medium and the challenges of creating on the most atypical of canvases, the human face.
It's probably like a very unique type of art because it's like a 3D kind of art. It's a different canvas every time. You're working with different people, different skin tones, different blemishes, different facial structures. It's pretty much just a different canvas every day. And everyone wants something different. Not everyone wants the same thing. So it's fun. I love it. It's a big art project.
Sticking with those artists whose canvas is the human body, Lily Reed had the opportunity to talk with David Groth, a St. Louis-based tattoo artist who adds artistic flair and passion into every piece he does.
I do mostly lettering tattoos and black and gray tattoos, and I think lettering is a really cool way to bring art towards something that generally is looked past. A lot of lettering artists or lettering people in tattooing think of letters as just letters, and I like to add a little bit more to it and really bring out a lot of other tattoo elements in my lettering as well. So it's cool. I like to just show up to work and enjoy what I do. That's it's my favorite thing, to wake up and not regret going to work and have a good time.
Moving away from the sphere of visual arts, my good friend Luke met with a dancer named Madison Rogers to determine why she believes dance is an art form.
All aspects of dance are a form of art. Dance is an art form. When we go down deeper into maybe performance art, that's a different way of showing it. I think what makes it art is maybe the different ways that we show it. We present it in these different ways, and I think that maybe the artistry in those.
And does each dance come with a different set of emotions?
Absolutely. Comes with a different set of emotions, it's a different story, different characters,
And is it up to the viewer to kind of put together the pieces?
That's up to the choreographer. I feel like if you want the audience to kind of create their own story in their head, you kind of set that out for them. But I feel like if you have a strong intent and you're trying to get that through, there's definitely ways to tell that story and it'd be very evident to the audience.
I think it's really amazing that in the same way we can form a story with a keyboard, a pen and paper, or a brush to a canvas, dancers can craft a narrative simply with their movements. The ability to elicit an emotional response through any form of art is truly incredible. I want to thank you for joining us on this episode of the What is Art podcast. From the STL art scene, my name is Tyler Merkel.